Hello again. Today we come to Revelation chapter 16. I want to just begin by reading the first couple of verses to you. We read here, "Then I heard a loud voice from the temple, saying to the seven angels, 'Go, pour out the 7 bowls of God's wrath on the earth.' The first angel went and poured out his bowl on the land, and ugly, festering sores broke out on all the people who had the mark of the beast and worshipped its image." Now, I don't know about you, but I have heard so many people say, if God is all good and all loving, how is it that there's suffering in the world? And it's a superb question. We want a world without suffering, don't we? We want a world where all is good. But the trouble is, we all want a world of justice as well. We want a world where those that do bad things are sorted out for it. We want justice, don't we? We want the bad people to suffer for what they've done. The only trouble with that is, who defines what are the bad people? Who defines what's right or wrong? Because even when we set our own standards, if you're anything like me, it's very hard to live up to them. So what happens when you don't live up to your own expectations, when you break the rules? What does God do about that? And so what we want really is we want a system where the bad guys get what's coming to them, and if we slip up, we want to be able to be let off the hook, don't we? We want God to say, "Oh, it's all right, it doesn't matter, I understand." But how does that work? How do we make that fair? Actually, we want there to be justice, but actually when it comes to us, what we really want is maybe somebody will take the justice for us. Maybe somebody who'll stand in our place, who will take the wrong that we've done on them so that we can be let off scot-free. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Well, when we come to Revelation chapter 16, what we've got here is now a sequence of 7 bowls. This is an altogether more unpleasant sequence. Before, when we've had the seals and the trumpets, we've seen that there's a kind of a pause in the outpouring of God's wrath. A pause where people have the opportunity to repent and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, God," and turn back to him. By the time we get to the 7 bowls, it's kind of too late. It reminds me of the picture in Egypt when Pharaoh kept being told by Moses to let God's people go, and he wouldn't do it. He kept changing his mind, and in the end it was too late. He couldn't change his mind. He just kind of reached that point where his heart was hardened. As we come to Revelation 16, it seems that we've reached that point where people have hardened their hearts so much. What can God do but bring justice? So how does God's wrath or wrath, whatever you want to call it, how does it work its way out? It's a funny kind of thing. Well, it kind of seems to be in 2 ways. The first is that God allows human wickedness to take its own course. You've probably heard that biblical principle, you sow what you reap. Actually, no, you reap what you sow. That's how it works, isn't it? If we plant destruction, we should expect to reap destruction. That's how most of God's wrath seems to work its way out. We bring trouble on ourselves. But there comes a point where ultimately God has to finally step in, if necessary, and bring an end to the matter. And that's what we've got before us in this dreadful chapter 16. The releasing of the bowls begins the long process that will culminate in Revelation 20. God's judgment comes on the earth. And when it comes, God's beautiful world will be rid of all that's made it the polluted and awful place that it sometimes looks today. What God's going to do is bring out the problems and deal with them so that God's proper, beautiful kingdom may come. That's what we've got before us. It starts with the first bowl.